Today I'm here with a very nice interview with someone who is artist, who is collector of traditional artifacts, and the person who really spent his half of his life with Tibetan culture and religion, and he knows many things about Tibetan community, Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhist religion especially, and also the Vajrayana tradition as well. So I hope you like this interview, just to understand from the perspective of one Swiss-born Swiss person, but he is something within himself, a kind of, let's say, having a Tibetan version of his life. So I hope you like it. Hello, Johannes.
Hello, Bimala.
Can you introduce a little about yourself?
Myself, I'm 68 years old. I'm studied over half a century with Tibetans.
Yeah.
And I would not be Johannes from now without partnership or learning from Tibetan culture.
Okay.
This formed me totally because I had something to compare with our Swiss or European wrong system since 2000 years, since Roman time. The white people only dominated other cultures, religions and people, and took advantage of everything, took gold, took resources, everything. And the Dharma or the Tibetan gave me another viewpoint of the world. And I always tell to my children, take many viewpoints. I had two, but they have perhaps a Swiss, a French, a Senegalese, perhaps also the Tibetan. So they can look from different sides and that comparing and not blindly believing, as Buddha says, don't take any word of Buddha serious without checking itself as it is gold or not gold. This is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
And I stick to this totally.
Yeah. And what special, let's say, kind of system, or let's say system, do you see in Tibetan culture compared to maybe Swiss culture or African culture? What do you see?
I mean, I see the Tibetan culture as singing and dancing and chanting and all that as very folkloric. It's naturally a culture which has been and perhaps 100,000 of years as a culture same value as every other culture. But in the Tibetan system, I see the real jewel of the thing is Buddhism.
Okay.
That's for sure. And in
as
Buddhism,
as a background,
as
foundation,
the most precious thing in Tibetan culture, which formed Tibetan culture the last 1,000 years, or since the year Songtsen Gampo and Titson Detsen, year 700, it totally imprinted all the Tibetan thinking. I mean, not the single soul, but as a culture,
And do you like Tibetan song or Tibetan dance?
I prefer the girls which are dancing than the songs.
Okay. Oh, you mean the Tibetan, the cultural dance?
No, when you go nowadays to East Tibet and you see this Kampas with their festival, they still keep a cultural life with their horse race and with their dances, with the tents and everything. That's a valid system of the world. They have been living 1,000 years like that, and they just try to keep it somehow like the Mongols. That's a nice thing. I like it.
Okay.
I like it very much.
The Eastern Tibet, right?
Mainly Eastern Tibet. I think in Central Tibet, a lot of culture is lost. When you go to Lhasa or Shigatse, the people are totally under another system, which I don't name, and they lost the wild nature.
A wild nature of the ancient time.
Yeah, and
that's
this
it.
I like. I'm very impressed by the wild nature of the Kampas. I like that.
Okay, and as a Buddhist practitioner yourself, how do you feel after practicing it till today?
I mean, we human beings are so crazy, but thinking, reflecting on shunyata or impermanence or appearance, interdependent appearance, and appearing, looking like concrete, and then disappearing. These small facts alone change your mind and blows your mind. And it's so deep.
Yeah.
That's just real. It's not bullshitting people, but telling the real truth of existence. So I valued that very much. That's my life.
Yeah. And just other question. You since long time you are collecting tankas and then statues, Tibetan Buddhist, and what kind of inspiration do you found in doing that? I mean, it's something very special, in a way. I think you are contributing also, to.
Yeah, I grew in it, in the tanka painting, when I was 22 years old, and they asked me, Fräulein Dr. Stoll resigned from Kohler, and they looked another guy, and as they found me an honest young stupid Swiss, they have chosen me as a tanka describer, and I had no idea. And thanks to the Tibetans and the Lamas, I got more and more involved. Naturally, I'm now one, and I photographed thousands of tankas, and I know this culture and I venerate this culture. I like it. I know some kind of symbolic, especially the tantric paintings. Tantra is appearing out of the void by a syllable. Tantra is existing. The deities are appearing as a reflection of the mind, and then finally, if they dissolve again, when the business is done, they dissolve into the voidness. So I appreciate this tantric view very much. I think tantrism, Buddhism as Buddhism Theravada is also stable, like morale-wise very impressive and good, but fascinating was the tantric system.
Okay, you said very well, because this is we call it maybe the development stage,
Yes,
when we call Kerim, right?
Kerim.
So you explained it very well, and that fascinated you, I think. How
that's concerning art.
Yeah.
The real thing of Tantra is not Kerim, it's like the basic thing, it's Surim.
Yeah.
This you cannot form in tankas, and there is in this Lukang some paintings of Pema Lengpa tradition, but it's only the painting. But the real fascinating thing is if you can integrate it in daily life and somehow get to a certain taste of it. It's beyond art. It's beyond art.
And as a neutral person, if someone, coming from other cultures, and if he or she, want to buy tanka or want to have tanka at home, then what advantage they get it from tanka?
I think a normal person, if she wants a tanka of green taro or Chinresi Shadakshari with form arms, it's a kind of impression or imprint or reflection, because it represents, for example, overcoming the fear of green tara or the great compassion. It's better than a war picture in your room, because it has an impact on you for being peaceful, being more relaxed, being more compassionate. I think this is very valuable, totally valuable.
Now, going back to your explanation, you said something about Pemalingpa.
Yes, because the Lukhang
Lukhang.
behind the Potala is in this small lake, is the Lukhang temple. I think some people say it's comes from the 5th Dalai Lama. I think it might be from the 6th Dalai Lama's time, as he came from the Pema Lingpa tradition. And there you have the yoga exercises which are going to the Dzogchen system of Pema Lingpa. So these are very interesting things. It was totally hidden for normal people, as our secret paintings, but it shows as a historical artifact that even in this, I don't know, it was in...
Does it exist right now?
Still exists. I went twice. Whenever I went to Lhasa, I insisted to go to Lukhang. Then you go, you cross over a bridge, you go there, and the first, the ground stage, you see a Luk, a Naga, and then you have to go in the first to the second floor, and you see the wall paintings. The wall paintings are better shown in the book which exists than in reality, because it's a little bit dark, and the photographs are better indicated.
And what do you say about the religious objects, like Dorje, Chibu, and all these things? How much, let's say, it values, to one's life? If you have
me, I'm crazy of it.
Okay.
But normal people see only an old metal object, and I somehow venerate the masters which kept it over 1,000 years, handed over, and then I especially concentrated on Purbas, because Purbas first were not auctioned, because they were the most precious things were out of meteoric or iron. And it was not gold, so everybody jumped the big museums on big statues on gold, on very fancy things. And I had the chance, because I knew the deeper meaning. I bought Purbas. And I think they are totally filled with blessings. And there is a very important sentence saying by Chakdel, the great yogi. He said, having one of these Purba in the house keeps out a lot of dangers and problems. So I followed somehow the advice and started from there collecting Purbas.
And what do you say about Tibetan attire, Tibetan clothes?
The Tibetan clothes, the general Tibetan clothes.
Just dress,
Yeah, Dalai Lama said once the food is inspired from China, the clothes from Mongolia, and the thinking from India.
Okay, all are mixed a little bit.
I mean, I think in this cold place where you can put your cup in the chupa and write and even monks don't have underwear there in India. They can pee easily. It's very easy. So every culture their own their own clothes, and for Tibet it's very good.
Okay. And do you like which food of Tibetan?
I'm a momo
Fan.
fan. I'm a momoist, and even my children know to make momos, and they love momo. But there are momos and momos. Not everybody makes momo so good like the other.
Okay.
So momos is in China it's called baozi. It's baozi. It's almost the same.
Same.
But in Tibetan it's momo, and it gets world known.
Yeah.
That is my prediction.
And the three regions, like Amdo and Khampa, Uyezang, these three, right?
You're right.
So, what in their character, what different do you find?
They are totally different. I mean, De Uyezang, De Uyezang Ngari are treeless. I mean, the Burbs, they had many trees, but by building all the monasteries, and the trees came from very far. It's sandy, and it's not easy to live with sheep and yaks, and the farmers, they grow this wheat and some other vegetables. That's hard to live.
Yeah.
But it's very holy because you have the Chogang, you have the central Tibet have very many pilgrimage places.
And what do you say about the people?
The people are nice. One bad guy, a monk friend of mine, said, "Oh, the Lhasa people, they are all Chinese, because when the queen came to Tibet, she took 500 maids and servants, and they all married Tibetan men, and then the Lhasa people became very sophisticated, like Chinese. They say even polite name to dogs, and so that's Kukpa from the Khampa point of view." But
I mean, you mean during the Songtsen Gampo, right?
yeah, Songtsen Gampo.
Okay.
It's the two queens, one from Nepal and one from China.
Okay. So,
and Amdo, they have a totally other language, another culture. Many Mongolian settlements also in Amdo. It's green, and they have another language, and it's a very beautiful part of Tibet. And Kham, I think it would be my favorite, because I like the Khampas.
Yeah.
They are wild, they have a gun. Okay, they were also fighting and killing, but they are so strong-minded. If you have a Khampa friend, then if you don't do anything bad, he goes through walls for you.
okay.
And I like this straightforwardness by the Khampas. I like them, and I identified as a child with the Native Americans. They were living in tents and roaming around with horses, and so the Khampas were very familiar to me. I mean, I love them so much. If I would be a Tibetan, I don't want to be a Gudak from Lhasa, I want to be a Khampa.
Okay. And you know also well about the Tibetan medical or medicine system, right? Yushi and all these traditions. What do you think about that?
This is great. Tibetan medicine is a component of Tibetan, Persian, Mongolian, Chinese and Ayurvedic influence. And Tibetan medicine, which also totally linked to the tantric system, is a world jewel. And the Tibetan doctors don't know not only making the medicine, they don't know only pulse and eyes and urine diagnosis. It's such a good thing of diagnose, where the Western doctors, they need machine, they need blood tests. They are totally lost. They don't know anything in comparing to the Tibetan system. I love Tibetan and Ayurvedic medicine. It's great. And it can be integrated in other local systems, because in the world, for example, in Dominican Island, they have a leaf which cures cancer. And Tibetan doctors could integrate it easily in their system. Western only take the medicine, go to the chemical laboratory, forbid the plant existing in the original country, and make a billion business. And that's so low mentally. And the Tibetan medicine is fantastic. Fantastic.
And
It's not the whole cake. For accidents,
Yeah.
you have to go to the Western medicine, but
and
diagnoses are the best.
and I think in, let's say, in Switzerland, right? In Switzerland,
Yeah.
or generally in Europe, Tibetan medicine system and Tibetan medicine practices are officially not, let's say, allowed, right?
Yeah.
So, and on the other side, maybe Ayurveda and the TCM, Chinese medical system are officially accepted. So, what do you say about that?
That's totally crazy. And it's ununderstandable. Because what is only forbidden, what the chemical industry, who is the reason to forbid every good thing, because the business can be lost, then they forbid Tibetan pills and all that. For example, ngulchu, the quicksilver or the mercury pills. If you study Paracelsus, he knew also to change the poison of mercury into medicine.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to hear that, nobody wants to accept that. And it's just looked from outside to ban something which is so precious. And the diagnosis you can do without giving medicine. And it's like if somebody forbids me to tell the truth, then they kill me. If I cannot tell the truth, then for what I live as a human being? Tibetan medicine is totally precious, and I promised myself, I promised even the Dalai Lama, and promised many others, I do everything for Tibetan medicine because it's just helpful. It's not harming, it's just helpful.
And now we just coming to end. What do you say for Tibetan new generation who are, going through a very, let's say, hectic time, and they also have to keep their culture, right? Tibetan culture as well. So, what advice do you give to them?
As Rikshung, as race, if the Tibetans marry Tibetan, and every big Lama like Dalai Lama Sakya Trinzing says, keep your language alive, that's a good thing. Even if in Tibet, all Tibet, perhaps only 10% of the population could read and write Tibetan now. If they want to keep their culture alive, it's certainly important, the language. But the essential thing is not only dancing in the Tibetan style and singing some old songs and having some chupas. The essential thing of the Tibetan culture is Dharma. And Dharma, my own daughter who's half Tibetan sings, you suck the Dharma knowledge by the mother milk. And that's not true. A European who wants to be a piano player, he's not a piano player because he's European. In every culture, the essence of the culture, it's a struggle to learn it and to deepen it. But the young generation of the Tibetan have the chance to compare their old tradition with many other traditions and see the advantage, some of the strong points of the Tibetan culture should not be lost because you don't find it elsewhere in the world. So this is a strong point.
And if someone want to learn Tibetan medicine, where should he go to learn? If you have any places, known places.
I think there was Dharamsala, there was, how was his name? In Darjeeling, this very fine Lama.
Chakpuri.
Chakpuri, what was the Lama's name? He was such a great guy.
The late doctor.
He was a Tulku. He was in my house. He was a teacher of me. Such a nice guy. He tried.
Who established the Chakpuri, right? Chakpuri
In Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, yeah.
Yeah. I think for a Westerner there are few. I have a friend, Barry Clark, now he's in Australia or New Zealand. He tried his best. But I never met 100% convincing Westerner in Tibetan medicine. First you have to study 6-7 years in Dharamsala or in Chakpuri. You have to go to the mountains with a teacher. You have to study years and years diagnosis. Pulse diagnosis, urine diagnosis. Then, if a Westerner could do it, or a fantastic Tibetan like Lobsang can do it, they can overjump their own Tibetan system and connect with other systems, or make even new medicine. If it sounds crazy, we cannot make new Dharma, but leaves and plants and minerals everywhere in the world are not all found in the Himalayas. So you can go far beyond. This is one of my prayers and wishes, that Tibetan medicine can go to other continents, to Africa, to South America.
You mean, let's say, Tibetan doctors? There are many young doctors, Tibetan young doctors. They should also go there.
There is an overflow fortunately, an overflow of Tibetan doctors. And if somebody has really a good motivation to help people with his own system, but also being open for other cultures, it would be fantastic in the world. In Africa you have so many plants nobody knows. In South America you have so many plants. As the samples of Dominican Republic of cancer healing, this can be integrated in the Tibetan system, but behavior according to the season, according to what Tibetan system is so complete. I love it. And this is one chance for the Tibetan culture to spread Tibetan medicine. And with Tibetan medicine, the background is always the tantric system or the Buddhism system.
You mean the initiation and all this, right?
Not only the basic philosophy.
The philosophy and also the initiation part,
The initiation part in the medicine Buddha was actually, the mandala of the medicine Buddha was open to others, not only Buddhists, also the Hindus and the non-believers were allowed. This gives a big opening to the medical system. To the general tantric system, I think it's better when you are really following a teacher and a straight way and following a really guideline of a pure line which is unbroken, I believe. Okay. But this is difficult for young Tibetans.
Can you describe in 3 words about Tibetan culture?
Tibetan culture.
In 3 words, just in a short form.
Buddha said, my teaching is not harming beings. This covers the Hinayana part, the moralist, moral. And do as good as possible. This covers the Mahayana part. And Mahayana is it's mind-blowing idea. And everybody needs Mahayana, whether you are Buddhist or not Buddhist, in this fucking different, dangerous time. And the third is, tame your mind. It's the Hinayana version, but you can say it in other terms. Discover the nature of mind. This goes in the tantric system up to the Ati system, Ati yoga system. Discover the nature of mind, and that's mind-blowing, and the sense of life for everybody. It's not only for Buddhists, for everybody. It's challenging, it's the most interesting, it's the most valuable, and when we die, this is the only thing we can take with us.
True.
No millions, no name, fame, all these worldly dharmas we cannot take. Only the understanding of our mind.
And what do you say about mandala that you also creating?
My own mandalas.
I mean, actually, about the Tibetan mandala, and then just your creation.
I think, as in Tantra,
Yeah.
everything comes out of the voidness or the absolute, manifests, and manifestation itself is always structured.
Yeah.
It's the law of cause and effect, and all these 84,000 advices of Buddha, and everything is structured. All the trees are structured, all the flowers are structured. We build the houses with static that it doesn't fall down. The pyramids are structured. So the mandala in the Tibetan sense or in the Buddhist sense, it was a divine mention, and I think it has a very, very deep meaning. You have to reflect on years and years. But the appearance as appearance, when it comes out of voidness, it appears in structures.
Yeah.
And we, or you can say a law, it's not a law imposed by a eternal God and says it's like you must do this, but the structure itself, and you find that the nature, everything is structured. And Buddha never invented a new thing. He only said Dharma means how appearances are interconnected to each other, appearing and disappearing. So these mandalas are a structural reflection of this deep meaning of all Buddha's teaching, but all other teachings about science, about everything, about the five senses. And then naturally the paintings are only two-dimensional with form and colors, but there is even in the Vimalakirti Sutra mentioned that there is a Buddha land where Buddhas teach by smells. Smells by like incense or perfume. And perfume would be also structured, not by form and color, but everything is structured. And I wanted to do a kind of timdal. There is takdal, nyungdal, tödal, and I want to do a perfume which is filled by, not to attract this crazy woman, which always put perfume, but a liberating perfume, as it is mentioned in Vimalakirti Sutra. That's fun. I tried to do it. Lama Sonam tried to put some holy pills, and we made a kind of timdal. But timdal.
That means you
liberation by smelling, by fragrance. Tödal is liberation by hearing, Tongdal by seeing, Takdal by wearing, Nyungdal by tasting, and Timdal one was missing. So I searched and I found only in Vimalakirti Sutra one sentence which are indicating there is a Buddha land where Buddhas teach by fragrance.
Oh,
funny, huh?
It's funny, interesting also.
Yeah, totally. It would be very good for perfume industry.
And what do you say about, or the last question now, how the Tibetans, can protect their culture?
By bodhicitta.
By bodhicitta. Just
totally. If you give, and Tibetan system is holding back in family tradition, Wangchenpo and Yönten Chenpo and all that. That's the worst thing. I think Tibetan tradition will fall apart if it's only thinking of power and family structure and 1,000 years old. I was very, very surprised when I heard the story of Vairochana, who got the highest teaching in India by a straw, and he was hiding in a pot. And then when the 12 Banditas from Bodh Gaya found out that the essence of the Buddhism is lost, they sent speedrunners to kill Vairochana. And that's totally stupid. It's against bodhicitta. It's against everything. What you have to share. And you have to be funny and loving and open. That's why everybody likes Tibetan. They are joking, they are open, they are giving. Otherwise you don't even keep the first of the 6 parameters of giving.
Giving, yeah. First is the
That's
giving.
very important.
Yeah. Okay, Johannes, thank you so much for this
Thank you
wonderful
also.
interview.
You inspire me, Pamela.
Yeah, thank you. So we have today very good, let's say, speaker on my channel, and I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, would like to comment on it, you are very welcome. You can write, and if you have any other wish that I should invite also someone who knows very well the tradition and culture, you can also write down the names, and so I will also invite them. Especially, please, from my side, I request to subscribe my channel if you haven't yet subscribed my channel, because it's about our culture and tradition. Thank you.